Great. So first of all, thank you all for joining us in this community conversation in supporting and elevating each other, lifting each other up, especially, you know, in times like this where we're having this learning curve all of a sudden, right? My name is Danielle Hall. I'm the founder of Sound Embrace, and at Sound Embrace, I lead a team of trained sound practitioners in serving the mental health and wellness of our communities through sound healing therapy. And with me today, who really spearheaded the conversation in the first place, is Shannon Nunley and Sean Moore. And I'll let them, I'll pass the mic on to them now to introduce themselves, but we've come together to create this space for us to have community conversation around technology, what's working, what's not working, and maybe there's a loophole or something, a hole that we may not even be aware of that we can fill in community conversation.
Oh, okay. Shannon, you want to go?
Shana, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I wanted to have this conversation because of the solidarity that we have in Atlanta with sound healers. And we really are looking to have these conversations to elevate just the community of practitioners as a whole, just to kind of have a union and understanding and a solidarity, because it is a new field that is growing like wildfire. So I'm excited because I feel like a lot of times healers need healers, and it's just great to start a community where we can lean in on each other. That's my take. Sean?
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Sean Moore. I create sacred spaces for self-exploration, personal discovery, and that happens through mindfulness, brand identity, and strength coaching. And I just thought this was an important discussion for us to have. I know that we're all, the great thing about technology, and it's great that it's our first discussion, is that we're able to kind of bridge some of those gaps and have conversations that maybe in person might have been a bit more difficult. And so for us to utilize technology in a way for us to connect, you know, across the country to have this kind of conversation, I think is important. But as we continue to look at how things shift with COVID and the quarantine and how that looks different across the country, I know a lot of us utilize sound healing and sound practitioner work as a source of income, and being able to be as strategic and intentional with how we share our practice and holding the integrity with the work that we do, even if it has to be in a virtual space. And so, you know, I know in March, you know, I was scrambling, and I know we all probably were having individual pocket conversations about how to make this work, and how to really hold space for the people that lean into us and look to us to create these spaces for them. And so I just thought it would be a great idea for us to come together, share that information with each other, so that across the board, we are just able to, no matter who our demographic is, who we are able to touch, who we are able to share our practices with, that they're receiving a practice that is in alignment and integrity with the quality of work we would do in person. Toss it to Danielle.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Sean, I missed the last part. It cut out.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
So
I was just saying, I just think it's important for us to pull together and have these conversations. No. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I'm the one that. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. No, I was just tossing it back to you. I think it's a great opportunity for us to have this kind of conversation, to be integrity with the work, to be able to hold the same kind of space that we hold with our with the folks that lean on us for these practices and modalities, the same way we would hold that space in person, to be able to translate that into the virtual space.
Yeah, and to echo what you're saying too is, you know, I kind of think of this as this cross pollination. You know, there are going to be some things that I found that work, and you know, Sean has found some things, and Shannon has found some things, and I'm sure that all of you have found different tools and ways of adapting in this time. And so, you know, even as we conclude our talk today, later on, and just thinking about other topics that we might be able to come together on, and again, cross-pollinate and support each in growing and up leveling, so that we can all be successful in this work, getting it to our clients. And like Shana was saying, the keeping that solidarity, of shifting from a fearful mindset to one that is encompassing the bigger picture, that there's enough work for all of us. There's enough for all of us. And there's actually a really great demand for sound practitioners right now. And we actually don't have enough people going in for those opportunities. So let's getting back to the virtual space. You know, our idea in coming together for this particular talk, closing the technology divide for virtual facilitation, we're just going to share some of the things that are working for us, and then we want to open it up to you and really make this more of a relaxed community discussion, of, you know, what's working for you, what's not working for you. You know, maybe you have something to add, even if it's a comment. Maybe there's an aha, and we want to really make this a conversation. And so, Sean, would you like to lead first? I know that we do some similar things with YouTube Live.
Sure,
Maybe
sure.
let's start.
So,
maybe we can
you know,
talk
I'd
about.
like to.
Okay.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna say?
Nope. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So, you know, I like to give credit where credit is due. When I initially, you know, once COVID hit and we were in a place of isolation, or, you know, social distancing and quarantining, I reached out to folks to, you know, ask their opinion. And there's a gentleman, I think if you look on Facebook and Instagram, his handle is the Singing Bowl Guy. And I reached out to him. He was doing some amazing sound baths. I think that maybe the month of March, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And when I listened for myself, because at the beginning of this, I needed it. When I was listening for myself, I checked out his sound baths, and the quality was great. And so I just shot him a message on Facebook asking, in particular, what are you using to get that quality across in that way? And so, and then I also had a conversation with Amanda, and I know she's in this group, who provided some really great information as well. And I don't want to steal her thunder, but I will mention in particular one thing that she mentioned that was really helpful. But in terms of tech stuff that I've been using, I've been going back and forth and have been friends with Amazon, sending stuff back and forth, which is good. They have a good return policy. But what I've been utilizing to connect two microphones to whatever interface that I'm using, I started initially connecting with my MacBook or my iMac. And then in my recent, about the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been connecting directly to my iPad. And so I purchased, and I'll drop the information when I'm done talking in the chat for people to pull that information in, but I ended up purchasing an audio interface, and this is designed to allow you to connect two
If everyone can
sources
mute
of
their
sound
microphones, please.
into one device. Cool.
Is that coming
So
from
this
your
has been really
computer, Sean?
helpful. It's allowed me to connect two mics
music?
directly in. Is it me? No, it's no music over here. You guys still hear it? Okay. So I've been
Okay,
using this
I
audio
think it's me.
interface, and
It's
it's
gone now.
a UF.
Apologies.
Okay. It's the U44 Zoom audio interface. And so it's great because, again, I can connect two microphones and then feed this directly to either a computer or an iPad. And so this is designed to utilize for mobile devices. So you can even connect it to your phone. And for us that have iPhones, you would need the camera adapter that you can connect. So it connects our lightning connection directly into our phone. And then we're able to connect this interface directly into this adapter that'll connect all this to your phone. So essentially you can use your phone to record off of with microphone quality audio. And so one of the microphones that was suggested to me was a Shure SM57, and this microphone is designed specifically to record instruments. It's not the best for vocals, but it's great for instruments. So it's designed to pick up the frequencies and the resonance, particularly of like drums and brass type instruments. So this works really well. It does work well with the quartz crystal bowls, but it works extremely well with the Tibetan bowls, which is kind of the reason why I've shifted for the virtual sound baths to utilize those a little bit more. And then I can't show you this one because it's what I'm using, but the second mic that I have is great for vocals, and I'll drop the link. I purchased all of this on Amazon. And so I utilize this mic, the mic that I'm talking on now, when I'm doing my opening and my introduction for my sound bath, grounding folks, and then I'll connect this back down into a tripod and utilize this microphone for sound and this microphone for sound. So the sound is being filtered in through two microphones that helps kind of give a full audio effect that resembles closely as I think you can get to unless you have a super big mic setup, but it's resonated pretty well. I've got a chance to listen to some of my audio back prior to opening up having sound baths for folks, and the audio is pretty good quality, especially if you're utilizing a speaker or headphones that has good bass and that's good at picking up some of the intricacies of that sound. What I will say, and Amanda, thank you for sharing this information when we had our phone call. Helping get folks grounded ahead of time is pretty helpful. I know Amanda mentioned, and this is something that I have down the line that I'm trying to work on, is like creating videos to help minimize the curve to get people acclimated. I know if we're in studio and we're doing physical sound baths, you know, we have that time in the beginning to get folks like, hey, grab what you need, make yourself comfortable, our whole normal spiel that we do. But so that we don't have to do that in the beginning of every time we facilitate, what I have been doing is providing some documents in my email that says, hey, you want a great sound bath experience? Here's some tips that I list out in that way. Gives them some of that information. And one of the suggestions that Amanda mentioned is creating videos that, you know, hey, if this is your first sound bath, click here and this is how you get prepared. And so that's kind of what I've been utilizing. YouTube Live has been the, I think what's been able to hold the sound integrity probably the best out of some of the other platforms that I played around with. I know Zoom ain't good. But YouTube Live has been really good. I know some folks who've utilized Facebook Live and they said that it's been okay. But I've been leaning heavily into YouTube Live. And what's great about YouTube Live, that when you do create those live events, once you finish a live event, it just turns into a video. And so what I've been encouraging my folks to do, you know, once the sound bath is over, is like, hey, you also have access to this recording afterwards as well, so that you can revisit it as you see fit. So that's kind of what's been pretty successful for me. I'll drop some of the links for this information in the chat so that folks can have that as well.
That's great. Yeah, if we can have just information in the chat for people to get started with after the call would be great. And then you know, if you can email those to me as well, I'll create a document and nice little thing for everybody as well to have. And I'm going to echo on Sean about YouTube. I I've also noticed the same thing for streaming live. I've had the best luck in having really consistent streaming capabilities with the YouTube live. The learning curve with YouTube that I see is it's accessible, but you'll have to stream live. You'll have to YouTube is now making you download a third-party software to be able to do it live. I'm gonna put in the chat the third party that I'm using. It's called Streamlabs OBS. Oops, that went private. My bad. Let me do that again, everyone. So Streamlabs is what I'm using with YouTube Live. And then, you know, then there's really give yourself the time with any third party, because you're going to have to learn this other software to add a microphone, basically adding the input, adding the output, and adding your video into this third-party software, and having that stream through. And the microphone that I'm using is, I mean, I have my headset on today, but I'm using this guy, the Blue Yeti. It's a USB microphone that goes straight into my laptop. It's been great. It's great for voiceovers and anything you're doing with voice, and it's been amazing with the instruments. What I also love about using Streamlabs is that you can actually see a gauge of I think it's called not gamma, the bandwidth of like how you're playing, and if it's going far beyond the bandwidth. So for example, if it's in the green and the yellow, you're safe for somebody's listening and how it's actually compressing through the software. If it's going into red, you're seeing, okay, I need to pull back on that particular instrument, or you know what, those higher frequencies are really registering with the least amount of effort than a lower frequency. So it's really cool because you actually see how your sound is being transmuted so that you can give the best experience online. There is something I just learned about 20 minutes before this call on a separate call that I'm going to copy and paste this in the chat, just so that you have this to start with. This will be in the document that we send out. Oh, it's too long. This is for Zoom. So I've been on a series of Zoom calls this week with some leaders in the industry for sound healing, and they have figured out a workaround in Zoom. And it's been, from what I'm experiencing, it's been phenomenal. So here is the first part, and it has to do with settings. You can do it now if you want, if you have it open on your laptop or your computer, desktop computer. If you're on your phone, I would wait. And there's for the mobile device. I would wait to do it on your phone. It seems to be better after, or like right before a call, to make these setting changes. So, but what we're finding with even just these changes is changing the preferences, because one of the things that's happening on Zoom is that it has this auto filter that helps to eliminate background noise. So anything that's like a consistent hum, like your refrigerator or dishwasher, Zoom has this automatic filter that goes and tries to shut that off. So anything that's more than 3 seconds long, it's like it cuts it off. And that's where we're getting these clicks. That's where we're getting these distortions. And so that is going to be, that might actually open up the game, you know, in a different way for us with Zoom and doing group sound bath sessions. I haven't tried that yet. This is just information that I got, but I have experienced it through someone else doing it, and it was pretty phenomenal. The other thing I want to say with that is that I would still recommend an external microphone. Either way, hands down, if you want to get quality sound and transmuting that, I'm still learning the language here. But if you want that signal to get through in a way that keeps that integrity of the practice that we do. I mean, we're all about sound. I would recommend, any of the microphones that Sean just recommended. I would recommend this Yeti. And then I think Nicole put in the chat a microphone, a silicone wand. I'm not really sure what that is, but we can look that up too. And she is as on YouTube Live versus Zoom. Yeah. So I think even if you're just getting started and you don't have a lot to invest, right up front, I would first recommend investing in a good microphone. Go ahead, Sean.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Sorry.
Cool. The things that I have found, though, that is more of a challenge is moving people from our regular space of social media to this new platform that we're not necessarily inviting people to as we did in the past. So, it's been a lot of communication around, hey, my people on Instagram, hey, my people on Facebook. We are now going to go into this space on YouTube. It's free, so there's a lot of communication around that. So there's still, keep having that awareness that in the beginning, it might be a little bit challenging to invite your people over to your audience over to a new platform, but it's worth it if you want to have quality sound. Although, Shayna, you've had some really good luck with Instagram. Would you like to share? Do you mind sharing some things about going live on Instagram?
So Instagram, just the video quality is really good and the sound quality. Facebook Live also through your mobile, through my phone, worked really well. What I like to do is try to give through the week like some kind of prep of having on earphones, although I've been getting people who have been texting me or DMing me saying they put it on their Bluetooth speaker in their house and they still felt really amazing about it. And so I've also started to do virtual one-on-ones, and I don't know if anybody else, I have to talk to the person like immediately after and before. So doing it on any platform that somebody has to type in doesn't work for the way that I do my one-on-ones. So I've been forced to basically like use whatever video app, and WhatsApp has been working. The issue is if that other person doesn't have strong internet or strong connection. And so that's a huge flaw. And hearing even about the Zoom, that may work somewhat better. But when it's like a really intimate one-on-one and you have to talk back to the person, that's kind of been my rub. Yeah. So, but Instagram for lives and, different things like that, or even if that person has Instagram and you can do a video call with them or whatever. But again, with groups, because people have asked me like, hey, I want to do 5 of my peers virtual. And I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, what's cool too is.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Shannon.
No, go ahead.
What Sean was saying with the mixer and that the dongle,
The
That can
camera
plug into
adapter.
your phone, and I have seen really great results on. Okay. Well, there's something for a microphone too, and I've for Instagram, I've heard that work really, really well to be able to connect your microphone and to your phone and do Instagram Live.
Yeah,
I apologize, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
right.
So that's
Yeah,
actually
that
what
would
I've
be
been
really great.
doing with
I
the audio
haven't
interface that
that
I
out.
have. You can actually connect that. Oh, sorry. So
There's a
that's
little
actually
bit
what I
of a
was doing with the
delay.
audio interface that I have. Sorry. You can actually connect this directly. So I've done a few Instagram just to kind of give people the idea of what it is virtually, because I know I've had a lot of folks ask, like, you can do this virtually? And it's, for some folks, it probably sounds and feels weird to them. And so I've been doing a few pop-up Instagram live ones. And if you do have this adapter, you can connect the audio interface and use the microphones connecting that directly to your phone. So you can pull up Instagram Live and the microphone sound is feeding through into Instagram.
That's great. Oh, Shane, I can't hear you.
Honey, I am
She
just
muted
talking away
herself.
on mute, child. But I was like, yeah, that'd be amazing for one-on-ones on like WhatsApp or what have you as well, like being able to have that intensity of sound for them, because I'm sure they're having to turn their volume like, pretty high. So just having the mics to enhance even what's, already there, that would be really great. But so far, to be honest with you, like,
When it,
again, people have just been having like mind blowing experiences with sound baths as long as they're putting in their earbuds over WhatsApp. So it's just been interesting to me because I never thought the sound would resonate just through like two mobile phones. So the only thing is they have to put their phone on like do not disturb, because we don't want a phone call come in and like basically interrupt our connection. So that's been a huge communication with me with them. It's like, make sure you're doing that so that we don't get interrupted.
that's a good point. That and one of the things that I've been saying, or I hear myself saying over and over, is put your volume to medium or midway, because the sound will evolve on its own. It'll be a lower volume to a higher volume on its own. And so taking into consideration the how you flow as a practitioner. Do you like your low in volume? Do you like getting a little bit louder, and how you like to grow and evolve the sound and make your transitions? And that's a really big thing that I've noticed with some practitioners is having, some like the placement of the instrument in accordance with the microphone. So if you're, I don't know, there was someone I listened to recently, and there was a bowl that was right next to the microphone, and you could hear the sharp dinging every time. And so being aware and doing a test, and I think like that's just as you learn your sound healing instruments and they become a part of you, the technology aspect will also start to get there. How do you two feel about us opening the floor to questions? Because it's 6:40 now. Any questions or just general statements from y'all? And Sean, if you don't mind, would you mind unsharing so that we can see everybody in a gallery view?
Yep.
There we go. Yay. Does everybody know how to go to gallery view? It's just nice to see everyone's faces. There's if you move your mouse, the top right corner, it'll say speaker view, and it has like little squares. You can click on the little squares. So I'd like to open up the floor. Amanda. Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
Hi, everyone. So I am not so cool. I'm not up in Atlanta. I am down in Albany, Georgia, so about 3 hours south. And the big things I have, it's not so much the technology. I do have one technology piece, but again, I think over time that's just going to be make sure whatever you purchase, you keep the receipt and they have a good return policy. But the mic I used is this little guy. This basically, it goes right into the phone, and it's the Shruvy, I think 57. And this is what I'm using and only doing any of my stuff in Instagram Live right now. And it works okay. It's not great, but it's affordable and it is very portable. The other thing before I started was
Do you mind?
really the questions you ask of, is this my work to do? Danielle asked us this a million times in our training, is who am I to do this work? How do I want to step in? So I waited, I'd say 3 weeks before I did anything, because I wanted to decide, do I belong in a virtual space? Do I want to be in this space? Is there another way I can interact with my clients? So I took a lot of time. Once I made that decision, I practiced. So basically test yourself before you wreck yourself. I would record myself, move the microphone around, and I still do that. Every sound experience I go back and listen to basically learn, okay, 2 inches to the left, 4 inches back, that was too far, that was too loud. And for me, I keep the camera fairly close. So as a secure factor, that if someone opens their eyes, I'm right there with them. And that's also just a function of how this microphone works. It's better if it's a little closer. And I really try to follow up with people that I see that are in there. And then I've learned really on the technical front, at least for the experiences I've had, is I put a lot of energy into posting and preparing people. And I've called it their relaxation routine. Just really headphones, space, especially parents, go into the car. That's a great spot for this. But really understanding people don't know how to make themselves comfortable when we're not there, that we put so much effort and time into that, and it's natural for us to do that when they're in our presence, that we really have to help people learn how to do that for themselves and really have that, empower them to do that, where we did a lot of that heavy lifting in the studios and spaces and where we create. So that was a big thing. And I keep it as short and sweet as I can at the beginning. People's attention spans are really short online. So I spend a lot more time when I'm in person with a client at the front end. And so I really tried to funnel down the most important pieces of what they need to know to feel that they're in a brave space, what to do if their mind wanders, and to make sure they stay comfortable, and that most importantly, they aren't alone. So that's a really big thing, that I'm here, DM me, get a hold of me. You are not alone. If you have a big emotional experience, please reach out, because normally we'd go up to them, we'd hold their hand, we'd be present with them. We can't see it. And then the last piece from what I've discovered is, I didn't realize, I knew it, but how much we play to the people in front of us. We are really watching their breath, their movement, all of their things. And once you take them away, it is so hard to be, you're present, but you're like, what's going on? So I really spend a lot of time grounding. I really come very powerfully into the intention of what I'm feeling. I spend a lot of time ahead just meditating into what's speaking to me. And I really try to set a powerful, the intention I'm carrying for my participants, even though I can't see them. So I really try to put a little more notice into my own body. since I can't notice anybody else's. And that's been really, really helpful. So that's been my go about. Right now, it's for a lot of different reasons. I'm just using Instagram Live. That's going to evolve, but that's kind of where my audience is, except the very old. But I've gotten a lot of 80-year-olds on Instagram, so they can be taught. And then headphones has been a big piece. I've also gotten the same thing. Shannon, I think you said my parents listened to it on their Bluetooth speaker, and they have like a little Bose handheld, and they said they love it on their Bluetooth. So yeah, that's basically it. But I think it's really important to go back and check our own work now, because we can't really tell what it's doing. So that's my stuff. Ta-da.
That's great, and thank you for bringing up that point too about, we do spend so much time taking care of people coming into the space and getting into that space and grounding them and making those connections with them, that now sometimes we don't have the face, we don't have that that connection point. So I think that was a really great point that you brought up, of just taking, again, and same thing that Sean and Shayna are also sharing about, we're just taking these extra times in setting them up for success before they even enter the room, and you're right, that it's a really great point of the point of interest, the short attention span online, it's even shorter. So having these protocols set up beforehand is going to be really helpful to set you up for success in getting them into that virtual space. Thank you for sharing, Amanda. And if you wouldn't mind putting the microphone in the chat or emailing me it, what I'll also do is put the prices. The Yeti this one's $129. It's a USB microphone. There are other ones out there. So depending on your price point, we'll kind of divvy all that up so you can take a look and see what's going on. Would anyone else like to add anything or share?
Yeah, hi everybody. It's super late over here. I'm joining you from England, but I just wanted to say thanks for setting it up in the first place. And it's really nice to see all the people for real that I've been following on Instagram. So that's really nice. Sophia, I see you. And I'm finding it particularly helpful because I've not really done anything, because I'm like, when you don't want to do it, if you're going to do it, you need to do it well. So and the whole mire of which microphone and which phone and which and how many do you need and how much do you need to learn at this time, when it's kind of like constant processing all the time, and then now we're going to have to learn stuff. So yeah, thank you for being here basically, and thank you for doing the work, and I'm really looking forward to exploring the stuff that you're going to post and figuring out what would be the best way to send my offerings out into the great wide virtual world. Yeah, that's it really. Like I said, it's like I usually go to bed about 9:30, so I'm a bit hanging at the moment, but I did want to hear what's out here, so thanks.
Thank you for being here. And that's such a, thank you for saying that too about, we all want to do it right and well. And you're not the only one that has gone through that process. I think that coming together in community like this also sets us up for success of, there's not necessarily right or wrong. We're all using different microphones and finding, still finding really great results in reaching our clients and our participants. And so there's a range of options, and we're not just funneled into this one little box. So that's really great. And thank you for joining us all the way from London. That's amazing.
That's really cool.
Well, I'm not in London, but yeah, I'm about 3 hours north of there. But yeah, same time zone. I had to check what yours was. But yeah, one day I'll come when we can fly again.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyone else like to share?
I want to share one more thing too.
Hi.
Oh, go ahead. Niall, is it Niall?
Yes, perfectly pronounced. Thank you. I'm really
I
excited to
got
be
you.
here. So I'm following Shauna and Sean right now. I have siblings who are in Atlanta and I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. My crowd is super new and is primarily of color. So it's been really exciting to be able to share this really alternative offering to people. Not gonna lie, I am asking for mentorship from anybody who would be interested or some business support, as I'm super fresh and didn't even think about the mic. And I was warned about tones and very sensitive to them, but was so eager to offer once my personal space, my in-person space got shut down, that I didn't consider all these things. So I'm happy to be here. But if anybody has the time or space and could guide me some more so that I am honoring the practice as the best as I could, I would really, really appreciate it. Because I was really organically exposed from my mentor in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, through another mindfulness training I did. So she's gifted me with bowls, and I have like a pretty beautiful set, but would like to make sure I'm honoring the practice.
That's beautiful. Niall, can you drop your email in the group chat?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And you all, I'm just so excited to see other people practicing and doing the work. So continue the good, beautiful work you all are doing so much. Thank you so much, guys.
You as well. Thank you for carrying the torch.
So I wanted to mention one thing too, that I know that I think it's kind of connected to the technological curve that we've all been working with. And it's, once we've gotten to a place where we've got it kind of figured out, measuring your energy on the back, because I know, and I'm pretty sure other folks have kind of probably ran into this space that, we've all kind of hit this learning curve trying to figure out how we shift our offerings from a, in-person experience to a virtual experience. But one of the other things that I've learned too in this time is, now that once you get your footing in the virtual space, just measuring what your output's going to be. Because what I've noticed is that once you do shift into the virtual space, folks hear the sound and they're like, oh, it's great. Do you want to, do this sound bath here and do this sound bath here and do this sound bath here? And so just making sure that, as practitioners, we're thinking about what our own output is and how we're recharging ourselves. And that's been something I've been playing around with, because, I feel like right now our concept of time is just thrown out the window, where work and the things that we find important are all just kind of blending together. And it's like, you wake up. I know those first few weeks of the quarantine, I was waking up and it was 10, and then it was 2, and then it was 10 o'clock, and the day felt like it was gone. And so really measuring out what your output's going to look like. There's been opportunities that I've had to say, like, hey, I don't know if I can do this, because I want to make sure that, even thinking about the integrity of the work that we're doing, that, you have the right amount of energy to facilitate in this way. And I know one of the things that Danielle is always a good reminder of is just thinking about, what that kind of energetic pull that comes from facilitating, and making sure you're not kind of burning yourself out. Because in your mind, when you realize you're facilitating in your house, you're like, Oh, I could do sound baths every day, all the time, where it's like, be mindful of how much you're pouring out as we're sharing these practices with folks. So that's been a lesson that I've been learning, is just like, all right, now that you got it, slow down, measure it out. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I can't do, and funnel them to the opportunities that you do have that are available.
Roxanne, I see you have a hand.
I do. Hi, I'm Roxanne. I'm in Atlanta, and I have a little bit of information from my own explorations that we haven't touched on yet that I would like to share with everyone. I do want to say that the Zoom advanced settings do make a difference. That's one of the things I've tried. Zoom and other teleconferencing platforms are made specifically for voice. So there's a lot of work, and thank goodness someone has found the advanced settings, because they do help a lot for some instruments. My main instruments are gongs, and over most of them are 36 inches to 52 inches. So I'm looking at frequencies that a lot of instruments don't necessarily get into. So my situation may be a little bit different from what y'all are experiencing, but I still think that it may be good information for some people as you're exploring. Sean, Frank, was that the person you talked to, the singing bowl guy? Frank.
Sure was, yep.
Yeah, so Frank's a sound colleague. He's fantastic. He has 40 years of experience in recording and sound. So he is a wealth of information, and we've had several conversations over the last 2 months. What I'll do is I will send, he and some of my other colleagues have had very deep discussions, especially in March and April on Facebook in groups, about what's working and what's not working. And I will send those to you, Danielle, so you can share them with the group. It might be good to go back in and look at older posts and kind of see what they have to share, because there's a lot that's in there. What I really had to look at on my own journey was my instruments, which I have one gong that's under 10 hertz. So it's difficult to get anything on an audio codecs that will come up with a good sound with that. What my mics and equipment are, what the platforms are, and then what my clients are, all of our clients are using on their end. So I've been looking at it for the last month and a half about looking into each one of those segments, making sure, because any weak link on that chain is not going to deliver the best sound quality that we can deliver. So what I'm using for mics, I'm gonna buy an additional mic and use the audio interface. Thank you for sharing that Zoom audio interface. I've seen good reviews on that, but I've been using a Mackie board in my explorations, but I've been looking for something else to use specifically for mobile devices. I have a Zoom H6, and that's an XY, and it's doing pretty well, but I'm looking for an additional mic to put so I'm getting that dimensionality in sound. The Mackie board's okay, but we'll look at that Zoom. One of the things that hasn't been mentioned is the platform of Twitch. And in talking with Mike Tamburo, Michael Bettine, Frank, in looking at these platforms that are designed for voice, since Twitch has been basically a gamer's platform, there seems to be a lot in the music community that are beginning to migrate there. And I haven't had a live test of that yet, but I've been doing a lot of research, and that's something that I encourage everyone to perhaps take a peek in and see if it's good for y'all. One of the things I'm also looking at is how to migrate existing clients to get to that. And that's something that I'm looking at building through how they normally find me and doing a broad-based platform. So I am broadcasting maybe on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Twitch, and perhaps YouTube Live at the same time. So I'm making it easy for our end users to actually find us and go in so they're not overwhelmed with technology. So I'm kind of balancing that right now. I had a pretty successful Instagram Live back in March, my first live broadcast with gongs, and it went pretty well. Facebook was a disaster because of the OBS not working very well with my computer setup. But that's where I'm at right now, is just I'm doing a really deep dives with how do my instruments sound, where am I putting my mics, which I think is vitally important. And I feel like I've been on the slow boat, and I'm looking at creating the easiest, most comfortable experience for the end listener, because I think even though a lot of people have been at home, a lot of people haven't, but a lot of people have been at home, there's still a lot of stress happening. And my priority is to create a lot of ease, and even though we may not be having the same experience that we have in person, how to give people an experience where they can at least drop and relax and find a slightly different state than what they may be in. Let me look and see if there's anything else. Oh, so one of the other things that we haven't really talked about, but I'm playing with it and I'm curious if anyone else is looking at it, is live versus pre-recorded. And in terms of people's stress levels and attention spans, I'm looking at if I create something that's pre-recorded, specifically like today for the full moon, where someone can access it when they're in a good space versus having to attend something live. Because as I see some of my colleagues doing Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives, you see the numbers go up and go down, up and go down. So you can see that people are not staying with the entire experience. And I've talked enough, so thank you all. Thank you. Thanks for creating this opportunity. This is awesome.
No, thank you for sharing that wealth of knowledge around this. It's also a lot of things to think about. You know, I've heard a few folks talk about Twitch as a viable option, just because, to your point, it is historically a gamer's platform, but it still has the ability to do a lot and kind of hold space in that way. Roxanne, you brought up a really good point too around the live versus pre-recorded audio tracks. And so I've been playing around with both actually, and I've noticed that there is a big interest for folks who are open to just download an MP3 and have that as something that they can refer to and drop into at their own leisure. What I've done around that, you know, I've put a few MP3s up on Gumroads, and what I've done is to try to simulate that, right? So I created the document that says, hey, if you're going to tap into this MP3, get yourself grounded, grab some pillows, all that good stuff that we would say. It's like, how do you infuse that into the MP3 so that it's kind of a step-by-step thing that they can utilize. So I think that, you know, having pre-recorded things are a good option because it does give folks the opportunity to kind of take ownership of their practice and do it at their own leisure in that way.
I think that's beautiful. Thank you for mentioning that specifically. I think that we can pace it differently if it's pre-recorded. One of the things I'm looking at that's similar to, I think it was Amanda that you mentioned had put out a document. One of the things I'm looking at is a pre-recorded induction. So people can get everything set up, and before they actually log on, they can go in and hear a 10-minute induction so they can get relaxed and comfortable that would have some of that. And then as soon as they get to that place, click into wherever it is, they're already in a relaxed place and ready to go in quickly to that. I'm about to drop some yoga nidra meditations into insight timers. So that's one of the things I'm looking at too, is how to move with that. One other big issue that I'm having that I'm curious if how other people have moved with this is the acoustics in my home. I'm very close to a major expressway, and frankly, that's one of the reasons I haven't done anything live from my home, because I'm not happy with the low drone of traffic. I don't even know what else to say about that, except it's been irritating. I have to do my own tools on myself to get relaxed around it.
One thing I would say or share about that is that sometimes it depends on your microphone and the gain that you have turned up on your microphone is what I found. I was unplugging my refrigerator because I thought my refrigerator was showing up in the recordings live, and it wasn't. And so maybe doing a test with the amount of gain. I know Shane is laughing at me right now. Like, for real, I was unplugging my refrigerator. You know, so I played with the gain, and then that just meant that I would play a little bit louder than I thought that I would originally, because I set the gain down on my microphone a little bit. That's besides some, you know, sound absorption curtains that block it from the outside. I'm not sure. Does anyone have any?
I'm looking at egg crates,
anything
so
to
I'm
share on that?
actually have the egg crate phone that I'm looking at. I have somebody that has some that's sending it. It's just when you're 1,000 feet from a road, it gets really loud. So thank you though for the gain. That's
Well,
good.
the other thing too to think about is when you're setting up the material in your home, what that's going to do is dampen the sound in your home and change the acoustics in your immediate space. It's not going to prevent the sound that's from the outside to come in. So there's different sound material. I'm not quite sure what that is. So you're just going to find that your immediate space is going to be a lot more dampened. It's going to be going and finding those cracks. You know, along the window. I'm doing this because I'm like at your window, finding the cracks of like where outside noise can seep in.
That's actually where I'm putting the egg crating, is actually in the window. So it will drive me crazy because I like sunlight, and it will certainly dampen that out. So you're psychic. You heard that. Thank you.
We just have about 5 minutes before, just to keep the container, you know, for time's sake. Would anybody else like to share or say anything? Yeah, Michelle? Mute.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, everybody. Hi. Yeah, I'm not one of the cool kids. I'm down here in Columbus. Don't live in Atlanta, but holding it up down here in Atlanta.
Cool, come on. You're all cool. You're here.
Okay, I'm going to say this really quick because I don't want to hold people up. I'm kind of in the same boat as Roxanne. I have a lot of activity between the grass being cut by the monster cutters, the traffic. I'm trying to figure out the best times for me to be able to record. But what I am doing is I'm using a Zoom H5. That's what I'm using, and I'm using the XLR cables. And I just got an Audio Technica AT2020 condenser mic that I'm going to use for my bowls, and it's XLR cable as well. So I'll be routing all this through my H5, and then I'm plugging it into my phone, of course, with my lightning cable, and then I have a USB adapter. So that's what I'm going to run it all through my phone, connecting that way to do video. Then of course my recording, because I needed something to be able to pick up my gongs well. So that's what I'm using my H5 with. So I'm in the midst of experimenting, and we'll probably even be reaching out to some of you to say, hey, is anybody down, or do you have some time to come in and take a listen and see how things are going with what I want to get going. But so that's where I'm at. I'm ready to get in the game. Just taking a little time here to get things really going and going smoothly, and having quality to definitely respect the practice and the space for the people that will be showing up.
I love it. If
Do you want me to
you
put
would,
those?
when
those in
you
there?
get there, if you would share, yeah,
Okay.
if you would share, you know, what the hardware is, any extra software, something comes up, and your results. Like if you're like, yeah, this, I'm down with this, like that's what we want to share.
Okay.
And then I can add that, even if it's later after this document, we can, you know, have a group share another time of, here are some other things that we found that works.
Okay, cool.
And Shayna, would you mind sharing Chris's stuff real quick? I got booted off of Zoom and lost all.
Yeah, I actually wanted to say, I'm glad you called on me because I wanted to say two things. Number one, if we could all put in the chat our social medias, our however we can connect with one another on those platforms. So if you have like an Instagram or Facebook, whatever, if you could put that in the chat so that we'll have that even in replay, so that if we don't get it all followed, we can look at that later and follow each other. I was asking that because I need to come
And
to
I
some
can
of y'all
add that in the
sessions and I don't
follow-up
even
email
know
too.
where to find them. So I'm doing that because I'm like, okay. And then secondly, I reached out to another practitioner and he wanted to add, he's gonna be on another call, so he wasn't able to make it. And I put his information already in the chat, so if you just scroll up, you'll see everything that he said, but I'm just gonna read it off right now. So just a little background on Christopher. Like, he does sound healing here in Atlanta, but he has this thing with just like audio engineering, or just like really understanding, you know, the tech part of it anyway. So he says his setup now are SM57 mic for bigger bowls and Sennheiser shotgun mic pointed at the center, along with a couple of lav mics near the higher note bowls, all into a small mixer with an adapter to put it into my phone. So essentially the same thing that Shannon was saying. Chris takes it to a whole nother level with what it sounds like is 85 billion mics run all into his phone. And he said he's been doing mostly pre-recorded to avoid issues with live stream, such as unexpected background noise, tech issues, etc. For live stream, I'm leaning away from Zoom and meeting room style options. So he wanted to add that to the group. And like I said, I typed all that out and put it in the chat. But yeah, just wanted to be his little representative. I think Danielle is frozen in one position because she's not blinking. So
I'm here. Cool. Yeah, that is our friend Chris. He would be about the 1 million microphones, 1 million plus one. But I'll get that information as well. I know that we had promised you 7:15. We could, if anybody has to go, I just want to say thank you for being here. But you know, maybe in the future we'll make sure that these are an hour and a half conversations. Are there any last words or last shares? I don't want you to feel rushed, but anyone who does have to go, thank you. There will be a replay on this, and you'll get that information. Awesome. So if we don't have anyone chiming in, I just want to say again, thank you so much for your time and coming together in community in this way to lift each other up and share our knowledge and share our experiences. This is the only way that we're really going to be able to elevate the field of sound healing and is to come together in this way and lift each other up. And I think we have a really special opportunity to do that now, especially where we are in this time, in this space, and in this time for this industry as a whole. So thank you all. It's going to take me a little bit of time to combine all of this information. And so please be patient with me. But I'll make sure I get all of that information and get it to you and the replay as soon as possible. Thank you, Shayna. Thank you, Sean. I mean, you guys can't see it, but like Shayna is on this side of me and Sean's on this side of me on the video. So I'm like, it was awesome to come together with you to start this conversation. And I look forward to having more. Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a great evening. Happy full moon. Much love.
You too.
Much love.